10 years of white wolves and broken crowns. The Witcher 3's monumental legacy and its 10th anniversary celebration. You never forget your first monster. Maybe it was a noon wrath. Maybe it was a foglet. Maybe you didn't even know what oil to use or that Quen was your best friend. But you stumbled through the woods of Velen anyway, heart pounding, steel drawn, a coin earned. 10 years ago, I was 17, bleary-eyed and overworked from college assignments, sitting cross-legged on the floor of my room holding the fresh, plastic-wrapped case of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. That day, I popped the disc into my Xbox and unknowingly began what would become a lifelong pilgrimage. A decade has passed. I'm 27 now. Life's more complicated, but my soul still drifts toward the fields of Toussaint, the cursed swamps of Crookback Bog, the snowy silence of Kaer Morhen. The world may change, but The Witcher 3 remains my constant. And now, in 2025, CD Projekt RED is doing something few studios attempt, celebrating a game not just for its technical achievement, but for the emotions it stirred, for the legacy it carved into our hearts. The studio could have easily pushed out a lazy digital tweet or reskinned a DLC armor set. But no, they've given us something richer, deeper, a celebration of myth, memory, and music. A 10th anniversary spectacle. It starts with the voice. Doug Cockle, the gravel-throated bard of our monster-hunting dreams, returns in the trailer with a voice that feels like it's aged with Geralt himself. "Wind's howling," he says, and I'm 17 again. CD Projekt RED's Red Streams brings Cockle front and center, not just as a voice actor, but as a craftsman. Someone who lived inside Geralt's skin for over 2 decades. He doesn't just read lines, he shapes them. You feel every drop of blood in the bathtub scene, every cracked whisper in his goodbye to Ciri. These aren't just events, they're rituals. The Boston concert on May 31st, that's not just a gig, it's a symphony of swords, strings, and sorcery. The music of The Witcher 3 is the unsung hero of its impact. The lilting cries of silver for monsters, steel for men, the battle drums of Skellige, the gentle melancholy of Priscilla's woven storm, it's all returning live on stage. Poland Sala Ziemi 2 will echo with these melodies, and the lucky fans who attend won't just be watching musicians. They'll be listening to the heartbeat of the continent. But there's more. CDPR is giving us art. 10 incredible artists, handpicked to represent their own visions of Geralt, Ciri, Yennefer, and the sprawling lore of Sapkowski's imagination. It's not about canon. It's about feeling, about capturing what The Witcher means to you. The display collab turns steel and canvas into legend. T-shirts, mugs, sure, they're merch, but they're totems for fans who carry the stories with them every day. And then there's the Little Witcher comic series, whimsical, sharp, and self-aware. It dares to poke fun at Geralt while honoring his legend. It's charming, it's light. But beneath the laughs, there's a respect for the mythos few fan works ever get right. Add to that the Embody Immerse game pack, and you realize CDPR isn't just playing the nostalgia card. They're evolving the experience, making it deeper, wider, lived in. But let's step back. Let's talk about why this anniversary matters. A decade ago, The Witcher 3 wasn't just a good game. It was the death knell of mediocrity in fantasy RPGs. In a world obsessed with choice but lacking consequence, this game delivered both. Every side quest was a novella. Every character, even the butcher's apprentice in Oxenfurt, had weight had longing, had tragedy. From Bloody Baron's shattered family to Gaunter O'Dim's Faustian games, CDPR didn't just give us content, they gave us purpose. And then they doubled down with Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine, DLCs that dared to surpass full-price games. In a post-Skyrim world, it was easy to become jaded, tired of soulless fetch quests and characters that spoke like vending machines. But then came The Witcher 3 and the sky opened. Suddenly, fantasy wasn't about saving the world. It was about finding your daughter, reckoning with your sins, letting go. This was Geralt's story, but it became ours. The anniversary reminds us that great art does not age, it resonates. And yet, it casts a long shadow on the road ahead. The Ciri-focused Witcher 4 was teased at the Game Awards 2024, and the fandom collectively held its breath. We haven't seen much, just a logo, a few murmurs, no release date, no gameplay, no promises, and maybe that's for the best. Because if The Witcher 4 is to succeed, it must be more than a sequel. It must be a spiritual evolution. Geralt's story is over, but the soul of the continent lives on. It's not just about graphics or quests or Gwent decks. It's about legacy, about the burden of memory and the willingness to pass the torch, something Baldur's Gate 3 managed with elegant defiance last year. Larian proved that narrative depth and player agency can still shake the pillars of gaming. They didn't just follow the footsteps of The Witcher 3. They carved new trails. And now, we wait, we hope, we speculate. Will The Witcher 4 dare to cut deeper than ever before? Will it embrace Ciri not as a sidekick, but as a myth made flesh? Will CDPR resist the urge to bloat and instead refine, focusing on emotion over exposition, people over pixels? Time will tell. But until then, we have this, a celebration. A moment to stop chasing griffins and simply remember. We remember Dandelion's songs. We remember Yennefer's eyes. We remember the choice to save the orphans or not. We remember when Roach got stuck on a roof and we laughed so hard we cried. We remember what it meant to say goodbye to Geralt, knowing we could always come back. 10 years of killing monsters, 10 years of found family, 10 years of truly feeling what it means to carry 2 swords and a broken heart. The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt, isn't just a game. It's a legend told by campfires. It's a scar that never fades. It's the moment we stopped playing and started believing. And so we raise a mug, or 10, to CD Projekt RED, to Geralt, to Ciri, to Kaer Morn's ghosts, to 10 more years of remembering, and to whatever wild hunt awaits us next. Part 1. The Spark Beneath the Neon. It starts the way all great stories do in Night City. Not with a bang, but with a whisper. A voice beneath the neon. A look through the grime-stained glass. You think you're here to play a game, to level up, to grind eddies, to take contracts and climb some mythic mercenary ladder. But the city, it's not just metal and chrome. It's not just corpo towers and maelstrom slums. Night City breathes through its people. And if you listen close enough, it speaks. For me, it didn't speak through bullets or blades or net-running hacks. It spoke through her, Judy Alvarez. When you first meet her, she's not interested in charm. She's focused, intense. She's got that glare, that unflinching gaze of someone who's seen enough broken things to build her own walls. She's braindance tech through and through. Editor, hacker, survivor. She lives on the edge of digital dreams, threading tapes together like a surgeon stitching the wounds of a city that forgot how to feel. But behind that cold machinery, there's warmth, there's fire, and maybe, just maybe, there's hope. I didn't go into Cyberpunk 2077 looking for love. Hell, I didn't even go in looking for connection. I went in like every other merc. Pistol in one hand, promise of eddies in the other. But then you run the missions. You see the cracks. Judy's world starts bleeding into yours. It's not outside quests anymore. It's not about XP. It's about her pain, her scars, her strength. You want to be close? You'll have to earn it. The game doesn't throw her at you like a trophy. There's no cheap shortcut. You don't unlock Judy's affection with a few dialogue prompts and a bottle of cheap liquor. No, this is earned narrative intimacy, something rare in modern gaming. You help her fight for Evelyn. You stand with her as the club burns. You dive into brain dance hellscapes, peeling back the horror of exploitation and watching helpless as Evelyn slowly breaks. When Judy lets her walls down, it's not for you. It's for the ghost of what she lost. Bravo, Cyberpunk. Truly groundbreaking stuff. Such depth, such subtlety. Now let me go grind some more eddies.
Part 2, the lake, the love, the truth. The moment it happens the night by the lake, there's no music swelling, no pop-up achievement, just silence, still water, and her voice. You're out there in the Badlands, far from the city's noise. Judy has something different in her eyes now. Not the tech-obsessed editor, not the revolutionary schemer plotting to take down the mock structure from within. Just a woman searching for something real in a world that feels anything but. She strips down not just her clothes, but her armor, her defense mechanisms. And there, beneath the stars and the open sky, with no Megator in sight, something genuine happens, something human. Sex in video games often feels like a means to an end, a checkbox, an animation, a fantasy to be toggled like a graphics setting. But with Judy, it's something more. It's messy, hesitant, beautiful in its awkwardness. You see her vulnerability. You see her joy. You see yourself, not as a player pressing buttons, but as V, a broken soul clawing for something meaningful before time runs out. The sex scene doesn't last long. It doesn't have to, because what matters is what comes after. She rests her head on your chest. She listens to your heartbeat, faint and faulty, beneath cybernetic ribs. And in that moment, for all the chrome and pain and synthetic madness of Night City, this feels real, raw, uncoded. And then it hits you, this isn't about sex. This is about survival. In a world where people die for a bottle of water or a half-charged shard, where friendships are just business and love is often an illusion, Judy dares to be honest. And Cyberpunk 2077, for all its bugs, all its glitches, all its headline drama and marketing noise, lets that honesty breathe. You don't get a power-up for loving Judy. You don't get a legendary weapon or permanent stat buff. You just get her trust, her story, her companionship for a while. But even that isn't guaranteed, because Cyberpunk doesn't promise you a happy ending. It promises you a choice. You might take the Arasaka path, where power blinds you to the people you leave behind. Or you might choose the Nomads, running from the city and dragging Judy into a freedom she always dreamed of. That ending when you're in the Badlands, engine humming beneath a stolen sky, and Judy turns to you with hope. That's when it lands. That's when you realize what CD Projekt RED built wasn't just a futuristic sandbox. They built a mirror, and if you looked hard enough, you saw yourself in it.
Part 3, Critique, Cinematic Power, and the Closing Truth. Critique. Let's not pretend this game is perfect. The Judy romance arc, like most of Cyberpunk's branching narratives, comes with limitations. It's only available to female Vs. Dialogue sometimes feels stiff. Emotional beats can get undercut by the occasional floating cigarette or T-posing NPC glitch. The technical flaws threaten to sabotage the emotional payoff. But Judy's arc survives that. Why? Because it's rooted in character, in consistency, in care. The developers didn't just slap together a romance subplot. They wrote her like a real person, with history, with contradictions, with pain that feels earned. Judy's politics, her loyalty to the Moxes, her disgust with how the system chews up and spits out the vulnerable. These aren't just side notes. They define her. And if you try to cross that line, if you treat her like a conquest, she'll walk. You can't buy love in Night City. Not Judy's, anyway. And that decision to anchor her romance, not in fantasy, but in narrative consequence, makes it one of the best-written, emotionally resonant relationships in modern RPGs. The cinematic flair, the framing, the lighting, the details. Whether you're in her apartment, surrounded by brain dance equipment and rain-soaked windows, or floating in the lake under a violet-hued sky, the visuals aren't just pretty, they're storytelling tools. The lake scene is awash in blues and purples, evoking serenity and vulnerability. No aggressive reds, no flashing neon, just peace. Contrast that with the oppressive darkness of clouds, where intimacy is manufactured and agency is stripped. Judy represents a rebellion against that. She is autonomy. She is truth. And in a game obsessed with digital facades, she is one of the few characters who shows you her scars. Closing. Night City will chew you up. But for one moment, one quiet scene away from the screaming chrome, you'll remember why you came here, why you fought, why V kept going. Not for fame, not for eddies, not even to outrun death, but to find something real. In Judy Alvarez, Cyberpunk 2077 gives you a rare gift, a love that feels earned, not awarded, a connection that resonates long after the credits roll. And maybe, just maybe, in that fleeting moment beside her, you believe that even in a city built on lies, something true can still survive.